Well, hello everyone, Texie88 here and welcome to another board game related video. Now we're taking a look at Jurassic Park Danger, published by Ravensburger and originally released in 2019. And it's, with the exception of one player, it's a cooperative board game, and as few as 2 people can play and as many as 5 can play. And one player controls dinosaurs and the other controls members of the, characters from the original 1993 film upon which this game is based. And here's the underside of the box. Welcome to Jurassic Park, and there's the blurb there. And a little bit about the contents and how many players and the expected runtime of a typical game. So now we'll take a look inside. And inside we have the rule book, and there's the ability to have a look at a video on how to play it in the game. But you've got a rule book here which explains things, and we've got all the pieces that ultimately make up the island where Jurassic Park is set. And although the actual border pieces fit together like a jigsaw and are always the same, with the exception of the start hexagonal piece, the others sort of have free reign. I mean, several of the pieces are the hexagonal pieces are for the perimeter section, while others are marked as being for the center section. These are clearly marked, so there's no way you can get them muddled up. And this this dinosaur actions card is used for the person playing as the dinosaurs. I'll get to the dinosaurs that player would control in a moment. And here are the characters from the original film that you can choose to control in the game. We've got Dr. Ellie Sattler, Lex Murphy, Robert Muldoon, Dr. Alan Grant, Tim Murphy, John Hammond, Ray Arnold, Donald Gennaro, Dr. Ian Malcolm, and Dennis Nedry. So that's 10 characters, each with some unique abilities. And if we take a look back at the box, we've got some packs of cards here. Got the action cards for the dinosaur player, the 10 of those, and there are also 10 for each of the 10 characters you can choose from, and there's no way you can get them muddled up because they all have the same character depicted on them though. So if you're playing as Dennis Nedry, you'd pick the Dennis Nedry cards. And oops, made a mess of that, haven't I? And in this bag are the meeples representing the different characters, as well as I've decided to keep their gold tokens in there. I'll get to the gold tokens in a moment. And you know which meeple to use because the background of their character profile card will be the same colour as the one that you need to use. So, for instance, if you're using Lex Murphy, because the colour character profile card is purple, you'd pick the purple meeple. If you're picking Dr. Grant, you'd pick the orange one, and so on. We've got a helicopter token. Here's a regular one-sided die that's used at certain points during the game, primarily for the human controlling players. And here are the 3 dinosaurs that the dinosaur controlling player would use. We got the Velociraptor, the Dilophosaurus, and the Tyrannosaurus Rex, the old T-Rex. And we've got three buildings here, which initially are placed with this side showing up their deactivated state. So we've got the maintenance shed, the visitors centre, and the control centre. Even though the perimeter and centre hexagonal pieces maybe in different positions and orientations each time you play, one thing that doesn't change is where exactly on the board these 3 buildings go. And here we've got some electric fence tokens and some no dinosaur tokens, and also somewhere in here, yeah, there it is a token that's only used by the dinosaur player, because if we go back to the dinosaur player's dinosaur actions card, they get a free action, and whichever one of these they chose to do during their turn, they would place that token next to that one, or if they chose not to, they'd just put it in the space marked rest. So what actually happens is that whoever's controlling the dinosaurs is trying to ensure that that 3 human characters get eliminated, whilst the human controlling player or players are trying to work together to activate those 3 buildings I just showed you. And once that happens, that helicopter will be on the southernmost tip of the island, and once all 3 of the buildings have been activated, that helicopter will be available, and any character that's either got their gold token or done what they need to earn their gold token can try and make their way to the helipad and the helicopter to escape the island. If there are 2 or 3 players playing the entire game, then only 2 human characters need to escape the island. If there are 4 or 5, then 3 need to escape. And bear in mind, some of the characters actually have to earn their gold token, as I just said. If they haven't got their gold token, even if all 3 of the buildings are activated, that character will not be able to escape. Some of the characters start with their gold token and risk losing it, whereas those that have to earn it, once they've got it, they'll never not have it. So it's a bit of a toss-up as to which kind of character you'd prefer to control. But if a character that a player was controlling is eliminated, that doesn't mean that player that is completely out of the game. They'd simply take control of another character and take the character profile card and these action cards accordingly. And if there are only 2 people playing, the dinosaur player and 1 human player, then the latter player would be controlling 2 characters at a time. And each round has 3 phases, and normally the dinosaur player would only be permitted to select from 3 of their stash of action cards, and that would be their hand. They could only pick from these 3, and they'd pick one of the cards and place it face down. And once they've placed that, they cannot change it. And then the human player or players, unlike dinosaurs, they actually have their character's entire hand of 10 to choose from. And if you have a card which has this alert symbol in the top left corner, then it means that this character is the only character that can do the skill shown on the card, which in this case allows a character to activate or deactivate 1 electric fence. But initially, when a human character is when the human characters actually select their card, the only kind of cards they're allowed to pick are the ones which are not marked as being free actions, like that one I just showed you. So typically that would mean they could only play a climb, a run, or sneak. Now every human character has run, sneak and climb cards. It's just that the free actions might be different depending on which character you're playing, and every character will have one of those with that alert symbol in the top left corner, which will mean that they can do a certain thing that none of the other characters can do. And once they picked the non-free action thing, similarly to the way the dinosaur player would be, they'd place the card of their choice face down, and then once that happened, then the dinosaur player would reveal their card, and at some point before or after honouring what's on this card, choosing whether or not they wish to do one of the 3 dinosaur actions indicated. And when it comes to the action cards, if there are only 2 actions shown, in this case there are 2 runs, that means that 2 of the 3 dinosaurs of the player's choice can run. And what running means is that throughout the game, running means that you go to an adjoining area that doesn't involve climbing over an electric fence or a cliff. So just to illustrate, I'm gonna get one of the tiles and place it alongside another tile just to try and illustrate something. So a run would be going to an adjoining hexagonal space that doesn't involve climbing over a cliff or an electric fence. So here to here would not be a run because that involves climbing over this cliff. A climb action would be required for that. Similarly, here to here would not be because of climbing over an electric fence. However, here to here would be because moving from one to the other would not have involved climbing over either of the aforementioned obstacles. If you want to climb over like that, then a climb ability would be required. And if the card doesn't say climb, then the movements over that or that, like I showed a few moments ago, would not be allowed. So you'd either have to try a different dinosaur that could do a valid run action, or that you'd have to abort that action entirely, and potentially only one of the dinosaurs, or even if you're really unlucky, none of them can move, unless you do this Velociraptor bonus action. So these are the equivalent to free action. So there's only one dinosaur card that has three actions depicted on it. So that would be the only one that would potentially allow all three of the dinosaurs to be activated in the normal way. With all the others, with the exception of free actions, it would mean that one dinosaur that round would not get to do anything. So the Velociraptor free action may move up to 2 spaces in a straight line, and it's worth pointing out that no 2 dinosaurs can be in the same hexagonal space at the same time. Although this would allow a raptor to jump over a space with a dinosaur in it. And you can ignore and that would allow the raptor to ignore cliffs and turned off electric fences. And the Tyrannosaurus Rex, that one you can only apply if the T-Rex is in the same space as at least one human character. Normally a dinosaur in the same space as such a character can only attack one character once, but that one allows the T-Rex in the same space as a human character at any point during a round to attack that same character twice. I'll get to dinosaur attacks in a moment. And the Dilophosaurus can actually spit into an adjacent space, and the spitting ignores all obstacles except turned on electric fences. And the reason I say that is that when one of the buildings is turned on, one of the specific buildings, once it's activated by the human characters, can actually cause every electric fence in the park to be turned on. When this happens, neither dinosaurs nor human characters can move across nor attack across in the case of the Dilophosaurus bonus attack. And there's also another building which, when activated, causes all 3 of the buildings and the helipad to have those no dinosaur tokens on them that I showed you earlier. That means they effectively become safe spots where no human characters can be attacked under any circumstances, not even with the Dilophosaurus spit attack. And if a dinosaur chooses to attack a particular player, that player would show the dinosaur player face down the cards in their hand, i.e. not cards that are either played or in their discard pile, and an attack would cause the dinosaur player to take one of those cards, and that card would be burned. Each character has a burn area. Once a card is burned, that character cannot use that card ever again for the rest of the game. And if a dinosaur attacks and burns a card in this way, the dinosaur player cannot look at what the card is, but the player can. So in this case, the ability to distract a dinosaur in a neighbouring area would be lost in this instance. And then once the dinosaur is done, then the player characters in turn would reveal theirs. Unlike the dinosaurs, who sneaking climbing requires a roll of at least the number shown. So in this case, in order to sneak, Dennis Nedry here would have to roll 3 or higher on that die that I showed you earlier. If he were to roll a 1 or 2, then they'd either have to choose to take back that card and mark the sneak attempt as a fail, or you may have noticed that that cards have a number in the bottom right corner. The player can choose to burn as many cards as they wish to make up for the shortfall. So if, for example, Dennis Nedry wanted to sneak, which meant a roll of 3 or higher, but only rolled 1, they could, for example, choose to burn this climb card to use the 2 in the bottom right corner to add to that 1 that they rolled to turn it into a 3. Or another option is they could burn both of these run cards, because both of them have a 1 in the bottom right corner. Collectively, those 1s would make a 2, which they could add to that 1 and also turn it into a 3. But as I said, once you've burned a card, that's it. You can't get it back. And another reason that a player might want to burn cards is eventually any card they play will end up in their discard pile, and these would eventually the discard pile would eventually add up after a while, and the only way to get those to be able to make that discard pile become their hand again is for that player to burn all of the cards in their hand at the time, and then only then would they get those cards back. And if a dinosaur does their attack and there are no cards in that particular character player's hand for that character, then that means that character has been eliminated, and that brings the dinosaur player 1 step towards victory. And a player is also eliminated if at the point of playing their card in step 2 they can't play a card that doesn't say it's a free action. Remember, I said that players cannot play a card in there that has the marking of it being a free action. And if that is ever the case, then similarly that player is eliminated, which again puts the dinosaur player 1 step towards victory. Remember, only 3 human characters have to be eliminated for the dinosaur player to be the winner. And as with the free action for the dinosaurs, when the humans activate during a character's turn, they can choose to play a free action from their hand at any point before or after, just like the dinosaur player could. And when it comes to sneaks, if a character or dinosaur sneaks, then their meeple is just put on its side. So if we go back to those 2 ground tiles I took out earlier, this is actually the Dennis Nedry's character, as it's yellow, as is his profile card. So as we saw from that sneak card earlier, rolling 3 or higher on the die is required for him to go into sneak mode. That's a 1, so that would either be a fail or would have to burn cards with the total amounts in the bottom right corner equating to 2 or higher to turn that into the 3+ required to go into sneak mode. if that if regardless of whether they rolled enough or they didn't roll enough and burned enough cards to effectively have rolled enough, when a character goes into sneak mode, their meeple is put on its side. Whilst a human character is in sneak mode, that character cannot be attacked by any dinosaurs. And when a dinosaur or character goes into sneak mode, they don't actually move onto another tile, at least not until the beginning of their next activation. And even then, the moving to an adjoining tile is optional. They can simply come out of sneak mode in the space they were in, or they can go to an adjoining tile even if it crosses a cliff or turned off electric fence. Not a turned on one. You can't. Neither dinosaurs nor human players can go across a turned on electric fence, even if they're in sneak mode. And once they've done that movement, then they come out of sneak mode, and then the rest of their turn continues exactly as normal. So the sneak can be handy if a person doesn't have the requisite action card of the other types in their hand. For example, if Dennis was here and wanted to get across there, but currently didn't have any climb cards in their hands to cope with this, they could just go into sneak mode, hope they roll enough, and then at the start of their next turn, then they'd be able to move across that, and then that's effectively given their climb without having to play a climb card. So there are tactics like that both dinosaurs and human players can use. And you may remember that with those buildings having to be activated, all of the buildings in their turned off state have this 5+ in the bottom right corner. As you probably guessed, whenever a human is in a hexagonal area with a building, that player can activate it and has to roll 5 or higher on the die. Again, the burning of cards can be done in a similar way to try and make a roll that fell short high enough. So that's Jurassic Park Danger, based on the classic 1993 Jurassic Park film that was directed by Steven Spielberg and starred the likes of Sam Neill, Laura Dern, Wayne Knight, Bob Peck, Richard Attenborough, Sam Neill, Samuel L. Jackson, Joseph Mazzello and Ariana Richardson. And, well, you get the idea. So that's its contents and a little bit about how the game works. I have to admit, playing as a human in this game can be a challenge. You really need to prepare, and if you've got other human controlling players with you, it's absolutely vital that you cooperate and plan. But be warned that the dinosaur player will be in the same room as you, so be very careful about exposing plans too openly whilst in the presence. Otherwise, that they might make it more difficult for you. If I were to have a complaint about Jurassic Park Danger, is that the dinosaur player might seem a little bit overpowered, and I think that the human players actually having to burn discarded cards just getting back in their hand is a bit cruel. and it's effectively like they're hurting themselves just to give themselves abilities once again, which logically makes not a huge amount of sense. I mean, personally, I think it would have been slightly better if their hand was empty at the end of a round. Then they could take all the cards in their discard pile back, and that becomes their hand without having to necessarily burn cards to do it. In fact, I've actually tried it like that, and it doesn't make it doesn't make it all that much easier for the human players. It's just something that I think makes a bit more sense and makes it a little bit fairer. But other than that, this is Jurassic Park Danger is quite an enjoyable board game, faithful to its source material, and the fact that they had permission to use the actors' likenesses for the characters featured in the game is also an added bonus, as it makes it a bit more immersive and relatable to the original Jurassic Park film. So if you're a fan of the 1993 film upon which this board game is based, or maybe even Michael Crichton's original book upon which that film is based, then I think you're going to enjoy this game, despite its slight niggles that I mentioned a few moments ago. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Hope to catch you on another one soon. Taxi88 out.